For more than 40 years, it has been in service with NATO and remains the main infantry fighting vehicle of the United States of America, specifically designed to counter Soviet equipment. It surpasses it in every aspect: speed, maneuverability, comfort, weapon caliber, protection. These are just some of the advantages of the Bradley Infantry Fighting Vehicle. And yes, it is already in service with the Ukrainian army. Let's start with a bit of background. It was created in the second half of the 70s based on the experimental prototype XM723. The infantry fighting vehicle was named after General Omar Bradley. Credit where it's due, the overseas engineers did an excellent job, and as a result, the Bradley surpassed not only its Soviet counterpart, the BMP-1, but also the next model, the BMP-2. After all, during the Cold War, the main task set for American designers was to counter Soviet equipment specifically. The Bradley became the first infantry fighting vehicle of the US Army and remains its main infantry vehicle to this day. Since its creation, it has been used in the wars in the Persian Gulf, Afghanistan and Iraq. And it was precisely in the fight against Saddam Hussein's forces that the Bradley demonstrated its maximum effectiveness, destroying more Iraqi tanks than the infamous Abrams.
That same Desert Storm, which happened many years ago, 30 years in fact. But back then, along with the tanks, with the American Abrams, the Bradley also advanced, and they basically proved their effectiveness in destroying enemy personnel and equipment, no less than the tanks did.
Since then, the Bradley has undergone numerous upgrades, and its latest version is now considered one of the best IFVs in the world.
It's not a tank, but it's definitely a tank killer.
And this tank killer has recently been roaming Ukrainian soil in search of its next target. It was these infantry fighting vehicles that the Ukrainian armed forces received in the latest aid package from the US and Germany. It is known that at least 50 of these IFVs have been delivered. However, the actual number at the front is classified information.
Bradley is an armored vehicle with firepower, and this will enhance the capabilities of Ukrainian armored forces. We are confident that this will help the Ukrainians on the battlefield.
Ukrainian experts in general agree with their American colleagues. Bradley is probably the best transport for Ukrainian infantry today. Its impressive speed allows military units to move efficiently alongside the main tank forces and, if necessary, to quickly carry out rapid operations at enemy positions on the battlefield. It should not be forgotten that unexpected breakthroughs by small, agile groups are in fact the main and most effective tactic, especially favored by our general staff.
And in this regard, the Bradleys will definitely not be superfluous, to say the least. And in fact, they will help us a lot, because when we planned our offensive actions, we expected that our infantry would not be running across the field, but would move quickly and on modern vehicles.
Let's talk about the characteristics of the Bradley. Its weight with a full load of ammunition is 30 tons. A 500 horsepower engine easily accelerates the vehicle up to 66 kilometers per hour on the highway and about 40 off-road. The range is almost 500 kilometers. It is armed with a 25mm Bushmaster cannon, 2 anti-tank missile systems, and a machine gun with 6 firing ports for assault rifles. The vehicle can carry up to 7 infantrymen plus 3 crew members. One of the most important advantages of this vehicle, according to experts, is the comfort for those inside. In the United States, they have always cared about their soldiers and understood that the condition in which a fighter arrives on the battlefield often determines the outcome of the battle.
Like any piece of Western equipment, which has always been carefully and thoughtfully developed with a great deal of consideration for how service members will actually feel and experience being inside it. This is truly one of its most significant advantages. With Soviet equipment, they didn't really bother much about how comfortable the crew would be. How important is that? A combat unit is a combat unit.
With the same considerations in mind, the designers also took care of the crew's protection. The frontal armor of the BMP is 2.5 centimeters thick, and on the sides it's almost half as thin. This made it possible to increase the maximum speed of the Bradley and make it more maneuverable. At the same time, the bottom of the vehicle is protected by an additional steel plate against mine damage. However, external screens are often added to the standard armor, including blocks of reactive armor to protect against shape-charged projectiles.
It has composite armor that can withstand shots, including those from heavy machine guns. It can handle 7.62 rounds, meaning standard small arms fire, and it also protects against shrapnel mine fragments from anti-personnel mines.
Another advantage of the Bradley specifically for Ukraine is who the American equipment will have to fight against. The main infantry fighting vehicle of the Russian Federation, the BMP-2, loses to its Western counterpart in every aspect.
They're not as fast, they're uncomfortable, they're not maneuverable. Well, how can I put it? You know, let's take a Russian Ziguli car, right? And let's compare it, say, to a German Mercedes. Well, how can you compare them? How is it better than a Mercedes? Really, you just can't compare them.
Besides that, the Bradley is extremely effective at accomplishing two tasks at once. Unlike Russian vehicles, the BMP is good both at quickly transporting personnel and at engaging targets. Essentially functioning as a light tank, the Bradley has twice the ammunition capacity for its main gun. On board, it is equipped with a detection and targeting system featuring a unique laser rangefinder, a thermal imager with automatic tracking of 2 targets at once, motion sensors, and systems for automatically rotating the turret toward the target. All of this together makes it possible to hit the enemy with the first shot without any ranging shots.
Enemy infantry, those same lightly armored APCs, enemy IFVs, infantry, strong points, firing positions, artillery if it comes close enough. So there's enough. It can also destroy tanks with anti-tank weapons, means. So there's enough. I have enough weaponry to be able to fight effectively if necessary as needed when the situation demands.
Understanding that Russian soldiers will have to face all of this, the Ministry of Defense there hurried to try to reassure the troops who are absolutely terrified of Western weapons on the battlefield. And in the hastily fabricated lists of supposedly destroyed Ukrainian equipment put together by Russian propaganda, the Bradley IFVs immediately appeared.
The enemy has lost 11 tanks, 17 infantry fighting vehicles, including 4 Bradley IFVs made in the USA.
Amusingly, this report from September 4th of last year came out at least 5 months before the actual delivery of American Bradleys. However, this is hardly surprising. Fear makes things look bigger than they are, and the panic of Russian generals in the face of the invincible Ukrainian army is even greater. On top of that, the Russian army, which is hastily removing tanks and APCs from monuments for the front, has nothing to counter Western equipment. In reality, the Russians only managed to knock out their first Bradley in Ukraine in mid-June. The vehicle took a direct hit to the turret from a grad and caught fire. However, the crew not only managed to evacuate, but also to drive the vehicle to a safe position and extinguish the fire. Not a single person died during those events. And this is, in fact, perhaps the best proof that the Bradley is absolutely perfectly suited for Ukraine's main objectives, to save soldiers' lives and liberate our land. And that's far from everything the Ukrainian armed forces can use to stun the enemy on the battlefield. We'll talk about the latest weapons from the defense industry already delivered to the front for the Ukrainian army in the next episode. Spoiler: Russian generals won't be able to hide from it. Not in Moscow, nor even in St. Petersburg. So please give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss the next exciting episode of Arsenal.